Hello Ghouls members, this is your editor-in-chief Zoe Rose Smith, and today I'm going to be taking you through some of the upcoming horror movie releases of 2021, because after a year, 2 years, who even knows anymore, of a pandemic, seems like we haven't had the best slate of movies coming our way. But now we are finally getting some brand new releases because cinemas are open, at least here in the UK, which means that we can go, we can get our popcorn, we can embrace the experience of the cinema and watch our beloved horror on the big screen. So the first release I want to talk about is The Forever Purge. So at time of recording this, it has actually been released. It came out on July the 2nd. But if you haven't seen it, I mean, what's there not to love? It's a new Purge movie. Does seem like we're getting quite a lot of Purge movies, I do agree, but I think there's something we just love about that aspect of there being one night where there are no rules. Absolute chaos ensues, of course. This one looks to be, I'm not going to lie, quite similar to a lot of the other ones we've had previously, but I think for me, like, the Purge movies, they're just so much fun. There's something about them that is highly dark and disturbing, absolutely. But at the same time, it kind of almost allows us to live vicariously through the Purge. And I always ask people, I'm like, what would you do on Purge night? What would be the one thing that you would be dying to do? I'd like to think that most people don't answer with murder because I'm probably going to cut those out of my life. But, you know, I think I'd just like to go and steal lots of expensive champagne and pretty dresses and have a wild party. But who knows, if I found an axe, I might change my mind. Okay, next on the list, we have a release that is coming out by Shudder. So we've already had the first part, and it is Fear Street from 1994. That was again released on July the 2nd, so you can go to Shudder right now and check that out. Then we're getting the second part, which is 1978. That's being released on July 9th. So it's coming this week to Shudder. And then the final one that we're getting, the final third installment in this kind of like mini film series, is 1666. 666, Number of the Beast. And that one is coming on July 16th, again to Shudder. So super accessible for those of you that have subscribed to Shudder. If you haven't subscribed to Shudder, I'm gonna like highly recommend it right now. So I'm not sure how I'm feeling about Fear Street at the moment. It's very slasher heavy. I'm not a big slasher fan, but I do think that there's a bit of a resurgence coming around. We've had Freaky as well, which plays on the slasher trope. Obviously does a little bit of a body twist in there. Kind of plays on Freaky Friday, but it's just called Freaky. I didn't think about that before. Anyway, I've heard amazing things from lots of other people that have seen the first Fear Street. And I think for a lot of us horror fans, like, we grew up watching slasher films. So to see it come back and be, you know, set in a new kind of setting, 90s, then the 70s, and then the 1600s. Not sure how that is going to work, but I am so excited to see that last installment. So yeah, that's Fear Street. So the next one on the list is Till Death. This one has already been released. It came out on July the 2nd, but that will obviously vary depending on what country you're in, so do make sure you check that. So this is about a newly wedded couple. They get handcuffed to each other during like a home invasion, and the husband dies. Not a spoiler, it's quite early on in the film. And yeah, the wife is just kind of handcuffed and stuck to her dead husband. Really interesting concept. It reminds me, I guess, a little bit of Gerald's Game in kind of like the aspect that it's taken, but obviously it's very different to Gerald's Game in many ways. And of course, I think the biggest draw for me is that it's Megan Fox. We love her, you know, she became a bit of a horror staple for many of us after seeing Jennifer's Body. So to see her come back and be doing this, it's fantastic. She still looks absolutely incredible. She's not aged a day. It's phenomenal. So yeah, if you want to see Megan Fox covered in blood, trying to get rid of her dead husband that's handcuffed to her, then Till Death is the movie for you. Next up, we have a film that I was supposed to see at Fright Fest 2019, but unfortunately I had a broken ankle and I was super drugged up, couldn't really get around on crutches, had a really bad time, so I probably only saw like 3 films over 3 days. Big disappointment. But that film was Dakra. So this is coming out on July the 9th. It's about 5 journalism students that find themselves stuck in a remote village. It's giving me a few kind of vibes of like Baskin, and there's another one on the list coming that's also giving me Baskin vibes. If you don't know Can Everinole's Baskin, then I'm just going to throw that out as a recommendation to go and watch that, because it's like one of my all-time favourite films ever. But Dakra looks incredibly creepy. There is like this little girl, and I mean, kids are just creepy anyway, aren't they? But yeah, Dakra looks awesome, and I heard phenomenal things about it after Fright Fest. So do make sure you go and check that one out. Okay, next up is actually the other one that's reminding me a lot of Baskin, and that is a classic horror story. This is coming out on July 14th and it's coming to Netflix. So again, super accessible. It's about a group of 5 friends. See the connections between those 2 films, Dakra and this one. They are traveling in southern Italy and they have a car crash and they awaken to find that they are in this absolutely fucked up forest. I don't know too much about this one because I actually really want to go in quite blind, but from the trailer it looks like it is going to be my kind of jam. You know, I love my extreme, I love really messed up things. I was surprised it was actually coming to Netflix based on how disturbing the trailer makes the film look, but I just love that. That means I can be like, to my friends, there's a new movie on Netflix you should watch, and then ruin their absolute week. But yeah, so that is a classic horror story coming July 14th. So I don't know how many of you have seen Inside by Alexandra Bastillo and Julian Maury, but they have been busy bees working on a couple of new projects, which means, yes, we are getting 2 new films from them, and I am very excited about that. So the first one, which it says it was released on June 30th, but I actually can't find it yet. So I'll keep on looking. If I do find it, I'll of course make sure that you guys can find it too. And that's called The Deep House. So this is about a couple. It's kind of like a found footage movie. They're making a YouTube video and they are going diving to a house that's been preserved underwater. Once they get there, what they don't realise is that the house actually was home to some like really atrocious crimes. I mean, if we're thinking this is from the guys that made Inside, like I'm thinking those crimes are pretty messed up. The trailer looks absolutely terrifying. I'm a big, like, I have such a big fear when it comes to things underwater. So kind of putting like this really messed up house underwater and them exploring it in found footage, I just think it's going to be terrifying. So I'm very excited for that one. Then they have another film called Candisha, which is coming out on July 22nd. So Candisha is about 3 friends who basically like summon a Moroccan spirit, like an evil spirit type thing. And yeah, as you can imagine, that spirit decides to wreak havoc. Again, because it's made by Bastillo and Maury, I have no doubt that it is going to be quite shocking in many ways. They did a phenomenal job with Inside, which if you haven't seen is a new French extremity film, very gory, very bloody, fantastic. Obviously not great if you're pregnant. So yeah, Candisha, it looks like it's going to be another very good one. I'm not sure how you guys feel about, and I'm going to butcher the name because we all do, right? M. Night Shyamalan. That sounds about good enough. He, for me, has always been a bit of a hit and miss director. The Village, fucking hate it. The Visit, absolutely loved it. I think he's done some fantastic movies, but also some that are tonally, they're quite strange. I know a lot of people that hated The Visit, but I don't know, I really vibed with that film. Seeing it in the cinema was like so much fun. So he has a new film coming out on July 23rd. That's coming to selected theatres. And that is called Old, and it's kind of thriller slash horror, set on a remote island where a family are holidaying, and they realise that the sun is increasing how quickly they age. I'm not sure about the concept. It sounds kind of boring in a way, let's be honest. But I do think there's a lot of intrigue about this. I think as horror fans, we all are quite interested when it comes to Shyamalan and his new filmmaking. He's got such a range when it comes to what he produces. So yeah, I'm not 100% sold on this one, but of course I'm going to watch it, and I know there's a lot of buzz around it anyway. So yeah, make sure you check out Old. Okay, next up we have a number 2 film, a sequel, and that is for Don't Breathe. So I don't know, the first film was for me, not my favourite film. I think there was a lot of cool concepts in there. I liked the use of playing with silence and sound, and also the fact that the antagonist is blind and they have to come around and get away from that. There was also a really weird turkey baster scene, which didn't go as far as I thought a turkey baster scene would go, but you know, it was implied, we got it. It wasn't cute. So Don't Breathe 2 is coming out on August 13th. Again, in select theatres. Check your theatres, see where it's playing. I've seen a lot of conversation happening about the trailer because we're basically going to follow the villain, the bad guy from the first movie, and his kid or granddaughter or something like that. And I don't know, I saw a lot of people talking, saying like, should we really be kind of following the villain's story? Like, he's not a nice guy in the first movie. And yet in this one, it's kind of like showing that maybe he's like the hero, which I'm not sure if it's going to work. It might, yeah, I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, do make sure you kind of tweet at Ghouls magazine. Let us know your thoughts on Don't Breathe 2 trailer. It's a weird one for sure, but hey, we're certainly going to go and see it at the cinemas. Okay, the next one is one that I don't know about you guys, but I have been so excited for this, and I was so upset when it didn't get released last year, but fair enough, it needs a cinema release. I want to see it in the cinema. I do not want to watch it at home. Like, I want to see it big screen, loud. I want the full experience. And that is, of course, Nia DaCosta's Candyman. So it's starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen as our protagonist. I think I'm really, really excited for this because it's obviously being made by a black woman, which I think is going to elevate the story and give it a different perspective, and probably a perspective that it actually needs. I'm not a big lover of the first movie, I have to be honest. I think there's quite a few problems with it. But in the same way, you know, culturally and societally, it's got so many important messages. And I do feel like DaCosta's really going to be able to bring that out and highlight some of those messages even more so in this version. And all of the stills, the trailers, it looks phenomenal. It just looks, it looks very, very scary. This one's going to be released on August 27th, so a little while to go yet. But yeah, if you can find it in the cinema, like, I think this is absolutely going to be one to watch on the big screen. Okay, final one on the list for today is Malignant. So this one's coming out on September 10th. It's going to be on HBO Max. I think that's only available to viewers in the US. I don't think we can get that in the UK, but it does look like it's also going to get a limited theatre release as well. So hopefully here in the UK we can see this one on the big screen as well. It's coming from James Wan, which is why I think there's such a big buzz around it. I mean, we are all big Wan fans, so I am sure we're going to love this one. There's literally like no plot details at all. There's been a few stills, but plot-wise, like, it's quite thin on the ground, which I guess in some ways is adding even more intrigue. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to see that one. And yeah, hopefully I can see that in the cinema as well. So, as you can tell, there's quite a few movies coming out in the next couple of months. Some of them are going to be in theatres, some of them are on Netflix, some of them are going to be on other various streaming sites like Shudder, HBO Max, etc, etc. You will need to check the release dates depending on the country you're in and also where it's going to be available, but they're all ones just to add to your list and get some more horror in this year. And hopefully we will get a slate very soon of what's coming up later in the year, and I will be able to bring you that. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for supporting Ghouls magazine. We love you all, and until next time, see you later.